What if I told you that $400,000, not $2 million, not $4 million, not some impossible number you'll spend your whole life chasing is actually enough to retire a full decade early? Most people would tell you that's insane. Your financial advisor would probably pull up a chart, show you some scary compound interest math, and tell you to keep your head down for another 20 years. Your parents would probably say, you can't just stop working. What about security? What about your future? And look, I get it. That's the script we've all been handed. But here's what's also true. There are thousands of people doing exactly this right now, quietly, happily, without panic checking their investment accounts every morning. And they're not hedge fund managers or tech millionaires or people who won the lottery. They're teachers, nurses, middle managers, freelancers, regular people with regular incomes who figured out something the retirement industry really doesn't want you to sit with for too long. So today, we're going to talk about what that actually looks like, the real math, the real lifestyle, the real challenges, because you deserve a straight answer instead of a sales pitch. The problem with conventional wisdom. Let me start with the lie. Not a malicious lie necessarily, but a lie by omission that has quietly shaped how most of us think about money and time. The lie is this: work until 65, save $1 million, or better yet two, and then you can start living. Now think about what that actually means in practice. You are 25, 30, 35 years old. You have energy. Your body works. Your curiosity is alive. You have parents who are still around, maybe kids who actually want to spend time with you, maybe a passion you've been putting off until someday. And the official plan, is to spend the next 4 decades trading all of that for a paycheck. 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year after year after year. And then when you're in your mid-60s, when your knees hurt, and your parents are gone, and your kids have their own kids, and your bucket list is starting to feel more like a fantasy than a plan, then you get to enjoy your life. That's not a retirement plan. That's a consolation prize with a gold watch. Now I want to be clear. I'm not telling you work is bad. Some people genuinely love what they do, and that's wonderful. But for a lot of people, maybe you, if you're watching this work, is fine. It pays the bill. It's not miserable, but it's not the thing. And the idea that you have to give 40 years of your most capable, energetic present years to it before you're allowed to stop, that's worth questioning. The math most people get wrong. Here's where conventional retirement math breaks down. The standard advice says you need to replace 80 to 90% of your working income in retirement. So if you make $80,000 a year, you need $64,000 to $72,000 a year to retire comfortably. And to generate that from investments, using the standard formula, you'd need somewhere between $1.6 million and $1.8 million saved. No wonder people feel like retirement is a fantasy. But here's the problem with that math. It assumes your expenses in retirement look like your expenses now. And for most people, that's just not true. Think about where your money actually goes today. You have a commute, gas tolls, parking, car maintenance, or public transit. You have work clothes you need to buy and dry clean. You eat out for lunch because you're too tired to pack food. You buy things you don't really need because retail therapy is real when you're stressed and exhausted. You maybe pay for childcare. You maybe pay for convenience grocery delivery takeout subscriptions you signed up for when you were too busy to cook. A huge chunk of what you spend right now exists because you work. When you stop working, those costs don't just shrink, some of them disappear entirely. So let's run different numbers. Real numbers. Say you and your household can live genuinely well on $32,000 a year. And I want to be specific here because $32,000 is not a poverty budget. That's a paid-off home or very low rent, one modest used car, groceries cooked at home, most nights a streaming service, or to a trip or to a year if you're strategic about it, and the kind of slow, unhurried daily life that most people actually want but never get while they're working. Now enter the 4% rule. The 4% rule comes from something called the Trinity studied decades of research into how long investment portfolios actually last under various withdrawal scenarios. The conclusion: if you withdraw 4% of your portfolio per year, adjusted for inflation, your money has historically survived 30 or more years. Across every major market event, the Great Depression, the dot-com crash, the 2008 financial crisis, all of it. $400,000 at 4% gives you $16,000 a year. Okay, that's not $32,000. You're right. But here's where early retirement stops being about stopping and starts being about freedom. What if you did $16,000 of flexible, optional, enjoyable work per year? 1 day a week of consulting, a small online business, teaching something you know, seasonal work somewhere beautiful, freelancing for former clients on your own terms. That's $32,000. You're there. And over time, Social Security eventually eventually kicks in. Maybe a small pension. Maybe your housing costs drop further because your home is paid off or you moved somewhere less expensive. The math doesn't just hold, it actually gets easier as you go. The 3 things that make IT work. Now, let's talk about how you actually get there. Because the math is one thing, but there are 3 real practical pillars that separate the people who pull this off from the people who keep pushing retirement further out. Pillar 1. You have to know your actual number. This sounds obvious. It is not obvious. Most people have absolutely no idea what they spend in a given month. They have a vague sense, maybe a round number in their head, but if you sat them down and asked them to account for every dollar from the last 30 days, they couldn't do it. And here's why that matters. If you don't know what you spend, you can't know what you need. Your retirement target is entirely based on your actual lifestyle costs, not an average, not a guess, not what you think sounds right. The real number. So the first step before anything else is 90 days of tracking every dollar. Apps make this easy now. And almost everyone who does this exercise finds money they didn't know they were losing. $500 a month, $800. Sometimes over $1,000 gone to subscriptions they forgot about, habits they didn't notice spending that was mindless rather than intentional. Plug those leaks and your required retirement number drops significantly. It's not deprivation, it's just awareness. Pillar 2. Attack the big 3. There are 3 expense categories that determine whether early retirement is possible or not. Housing, transportation, and food. Everything else, entertainment, clothing, travel, hobbies, is basically a rounding error compared to these 3. Housing is the biggest lever. A paid-off home changes your retirement math dramatically. So does moving somewhere with a lower cost of living. A lot of early retirees move to smaller cities, rural areas, or lower-cost countries, not because they have to, but because the lifestyle trade-off is completely worth it. You don't need a house in an expensive suburb if you're not commuting to an office. Transportation is next. 2 new car payments will quietly destroy a lean budget. 1 used car, or no car at all in a walkable area, is a massive unlock. Food is the sneaky one. Cooking at home consistently is probably worth $500 to $800 a month for most households compared to frequent restaurant and delivery spending. That's $6,000 to $10,000 a year. That's real money. You don't have to be miserable. You just have to be intentional about the things that actually move the needle. Pillar 3. Redefine what retirement actually means. This is the mindset shift that most people miss, and it's the most important one. Early retirement does not mean you never earn another dollar for the rest of your life. It means you never have to. That distinction is everything. When your basic needs are covered by your investments, work becomes optional. And optional work looks completely different from mandatory work. You can choose what you do when you do it, who you do it for, and how much. You can say no to clients you don't like. You can take 3 weeks off without asking anyone's permission. You can quit tomorrow with 0 consequences. That is freedom. And it's available to you at $400K, not $2 million, if you build the right life around it, addressing the real concerns. I know some objections are already forming. Let me address the 3 biggest ones honestly. Healthcare. Yes, this is the real challenge, especially in the United States. It's not a small but it's also not the deal-breaker people think it is. ACA marketplace subsidies are income-based, and early retirees who manage their taxable withdrawals carefully often qualify for heavily subsidized coverage. Plenty of early retirees pay well under $200 a month for solid plans. It takes strategy and some annual planning, but it's very much solvable. Market downturn. The 4% rule was specifically designed and tested against the worst markets in modern history. It's not a guarantee, nothing is, but it's historically resilient. And here's the thing. If there's a bad year and you're nervous, you pick up a little extra work. You have flexibility. You're not stuck. That's very different from being a retiree in your 70s with no ability to go back and earn. $400K is still a lot of money. It is. I won't pretend otherwise. This isn't a get-rich-quick story, but here's the reframe. $400,000 is roughly 1/5 of what conventional advice says you need to retire. It's achievable in your early to mid-40s. For a lot of people earning average income, if they start early, invest consistently, and live below their means. It's not easy, but it's a real target, not a fantasy number on a chart that keeps moving. I want to be real with you for a second. I'm not here to tell you that you have to retire early. Some people love their career. Some people find deep meaning in their work. Some people want to build something much bigger. If that's you genuinely, that's fantastic. Keep going. But this video is for someone else. It's for the person who lies awake at night running the numbers and always coming up short. The one who keeps doing the math and feeling like retirement is always exactly 20 years away no matter how old they get. The one who looks at their kids and realizes they've been too busy for the third month in a row. The one who had a plan, once a dream, a place they wanted to go, a thing they wanted to build, and slowly stopped talking about it. To that person, I want to say something directly. You have more options than you think. The number you need is smaller than you've been told. The life you want is closer than it looks. The path is not easy, but it is real, and it starts with one simple thing: knowing what you actually spend. Do that this week. Just that. Track your money for the next 30 days and see what you find. That one act of paying attention might be the most valuable financial decision you make this year. If this landed for you, subscribe, because next week we're going deeper on exactly how to build and invest toward $400K, even if you're starting later than you'd like. I'll see you there.